So just got done with my breakfast and I'm getting ready to go and work on my algorithm for a little bit. And anyways, I just make this video because I was realizing I slept last night a lot and I was thinking about I was like kind of halfway going in and out of dreams and deeper thoughts and feelings, and some of them were about women, some of them were about the tasks that I need to go do right now. And but the thing with women is I'm 41. Women have not been a part of my life like pretty much ever. Women don't come into my life. Women don't seek me out. They're not in my places of business, really. Desirable women that I could date are very hard. They're not common in my life. I met Peachy at the marina. She smiled at me in the office and I smiled back. And I remember kind of getting a vibe of a person similar to that as almost like a vibe similar to my cousin Jennifer or something. And kind of a younger person vibe, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But that was friendly. But that's rare. I mean, yesterday I went and helped a woman out on her boat with her internet. She was small and attractive, which is nice. I'm curious what sustainability models could work with her, and I don't know. There's this video of this British guy and his wife's like, "Hey honey, can you look at my car?" And he's like, "I'm not a mechanic." And then she's like, "Hey honey, the sink is dripping. Can you just look at it?" And he's like, "I'm not a plumber." And she's like, the light bulb's out in the bathroom. And he's like, "I'm not an electrician." And then it cuts to a scene later on in the day, and she's like, he comes home from work and he asks her how the day went, and she said, "Oh, someone else came or she got someone else to do all those tasks." And he said, "Oh, that's good. How much did he charge, or what did he charge?" And she said, "Well, he told me I could either bake him a cake or sleep with him." And then the husband laughed and he said, "Ha ha, what kind of cake did you bake for him?" And she said, "I'm not a baker." And it made me realize that beauty and sexual prowess is a characteristic in everyone. If you're trying to optimize for a super or hypersexual woman and super or hyper beautiful, then those are going to be tasks and roles that are part of her quote unquote duty. So, and those are also part of her payment for your duties. Meaning that, here's what I mean by that. When two people come into a relationship with each other, they're bringing themselves as an offering to the other and to the relationship. And when they bring themselves as an offering to the other and to the relationship, they're also bringing their gifts and talents as an offering to that relationship. So if you have a very sexually attractive woman who's bringing herself into the relationship, she's bringing her beauty and her sexual attraction into the relationship, which does mean that the man should expect to get more frequent and more intense, so qualitative and quantitatively superior sex, as well as sexual attraction, as well as sexual value. So when they go out on dates and stuff, her looking beautiful is a value to him. It accentuates him. She's supposed to be using her sex appeal and her sexual market value and her attractiveness as an offering to him into the relationship, which means she's supposed to use it to lift him up and honor him and help accentuate him as a man. She's supposed to use her beauty and sex appeal to help accentuate him as her man. Likewise, if a man brings engineering or problem solving or wealth generation to a relationship, then he's going to be bringing those things to the relationship too. So, and the woman can expect that those will be assets or advantages or benefits that will be that she can enjoy the consequence and the fruits of. So that analogy with the British man and the woman, where he's saying, I'm not a baker, I'm not a plumber, I'm not a mechanic, and then she screws a handyman because she's not a baker to get those tasks done. It's a harsh reality, but it's a valid reality. A beautiful woman isn't a baker or a plumber, so she's not going to be able to do those things. Now, I don't know what her man was doing in that video. That's one of the caveats. We don't know what this man was. We don't know if he was chairman of the International Monetary Fund. We don't know if he's solving, problems or making solutions to counter hypersonic maneuvering weaponry that could kill all of humanity. We don't know what he was offering the world as value, but it could very well be that he was offering value that far outshadows a plumber or a mechanic or an electrician or a carpenter or a handyman. But the woman was looking for those needs to be met, and her husband wasn't meeting them, and the husband didn't arrange for a plumber or a handyman to meet them, so she arranged for the plumber or the handyman to meet those needs. Therefore, she was in charge of paying for them as well, and that means that the husband was not and again, it comes down to what was agreed upon. If the husband had agreed with the wife that he would take and handle those domestic chore type duties, whether him through his own labor or through outsourcing it and proxying it to another, that's different than if the pre-negotiated deal was that the woman would take care of those domestic duties of calling plumbers and electricians and mechanics. So a lot of it comes down to the agreement and how do you treat the other person in light of the agreement, and are you correctly and properly judging the other person as winning or failing at their duties. And a lot of that comes down to a mutual conversation and a mutual agreement on the front end as to what win condition looks like, what's expected, what is the expectations, what does pass or fail or win or lose condition looks like, and what the value of that is. Those are things that need to be agreed on the front end, because if they're not, your wife could end up sleeping with a handyman, which is a horrible overpayment for changing a light bulb and tightening the faucet tap knob. You know, that's completely wrong, you know, and the woman really should have known that, you know, but there is a conversation there. It really, really does come down to what's negotiated, what's expected, what's agreed upon. Agreement and mutual agreement on things is critical to succeeding. It's the foundation as to what succeeding at relationship looks like. If a man comes to a woman and says, look, we need to be quick to forgive each other. We need to not let the sun set on our problems. We need to resolve our arguments and our problems before we go to bed each night. That keeps it clean. That's requires some work and responsibility, some compromise, some working together. But that's important to maintain a clean relationship with each other. And being quick to forgive, quick to repent when you're wrong, quick to say you're sorry, quick to forgive the other, those are critical things. And in my relationship failures with Anita, Kathy, and Peachy, those things weren't being done by the other party. They weren't quickly forgiving. Am I, picking on them? It could very well be that I'm picking on them, and you, the audience, are like, well, gee, John, was there anything you weren't quick to forgive on? And to be honest, if I was to go through it with a razor, the answer is no. I did very good at forgiving them quickly because I'm very mindful of these things, because it starts with being mindful of them in your personal walk with God and having a tender heart and being sensitive to God's Holy Spirit. And if you can maintain your Christian walk with God, invisible, if you can maintain a healthy love relationship with the invisible but all-powerful, all-good God, then you're capable of then having a positive, healthy relationship with a fallible, imperfect, non-omnipotent human. And I'm very sensitive to my relationship with God, and that is what makes it possible for me to be very sensitive at maintaining a clean relationship that's positive on the up and up with a woman. And I'm sure there's women in my shoes that have experienced the same thing, but the roles were reversed with the man and the woman, and the woman had the superior relationship with God, and the man was the blind, inept idiot who kept breaking stuff. Another critical piece is who quits and gives up on the relationship first, and who is always there coming back to the negotiating table trying to find another way of reconciling or fixing things. I never have left the negotiating table in a relationship. I'm always there trying to find a solution. Sorry, I have hiccups. I'm always the one trying to find a way to make a solution. And it is very hard. It's very heartbreaking when, the people that you want to love and be loved by don't, when they're so eager to abandon things and leave. And that's a whole nother thing, Again, it comes down to how evolved their eye is at identifying things and their prioritization of what's more important, and having conversation, questioning each other. Hey, why did you do that? Why do you prioritize that? Why are you thinking that way? One thing that really bothers me is, and it was the most true with Peachy, no question, she wouldn't ask me questions. She never was asking me questions, therefore she wasn't showing interest in learning me. And I could sense that from day one. I mean, it was on the third day of kind of dating her, when things started, that I realized she had called me a fucking wacko to one of her other friends. And I knew she didn't even know me good enough to make such a statement. And when I saw that she had made a statement like that so early on, without even getting to know me, I knew things were in for a problem. And I kept trying to get her to do step one, and she wouldn't do step one, and she never did. So I never really gave myself to her either, and she never did step one. This is just a video of one of many. I'm sure I can expand on any of these topics later for anybody.